The morning sunlight reflected off the sleek glass walls of the main conference room as Harrison slid a single printed document across the table. On the monitor behind him was a blurry surveillance photo showing me walking into a competitor building late on a Thursday evening. Harrison kept his voice flat while his assistant Vance stared at me with a smirk, declaring that my time at the company was officially over effective immediately. They clearly expected me to panic, beg for my job, or burst into tears right there in front of them. Instead, a massive wave of relief washed over me as I calmly reached out, unclipped my security badge, and placed it on the table. For 3 exhausting years, I had quietly carried the entire digital infrastructure of a massive firm on my back without help, and now that heavy burden was suddenly gone. Vance demanded that I hand over every system password and administrative credential before security escorted me to the front door. I simply smiled and told him that everything was thoroughly noted inside the company system documentation. That was not entirely true, because while the files existed, understanding how to run those complex servers without my personal experience was practically impossible. As security walked me to my car, my phone screen lit up. It was a text from Lauren, the head of technology at a rival firm, asking if we were still on for our afternoon meeting. I immediately replied that I was now completely free to take her full-time job offer. To understand how I landed in that chair, you need to know what my life looked like for the past 3 years. My name is Jordan, and I was the sole cybersecurity architect for a major financial tech company. When Raymond first hired me, he promised I would lead a large team of specialists dedicated to building state-of-the-art defense networks. But within 6 months, budget cuts and sudden resignations wiped out the rest of the department, leaving me completely alone. Management constantly promised that new hires were right around the corner, yet month after month passed and no help ever arrived while the workload tripled. I spent countless nights and long weekends patching critical vulnerabilities, stopping major cyber threats, and keeping billions of dollars in client assets safe. When I single-handedly stopped a massive system breach last winter, leadership rewarded me with a $50 gift card while executives took home massive monetary bonuses. That was the exact moment I realized I was entirely invisible to them until something went wrong. Desperate for a change, I spoke at an industry tech conference in Boston where I reconnected with Lauren. She was deeply impressed by my security framework and offered me a weekend advisory role for her firm. The consulting work was strictly high-level strategy, completely non-operational, and paid more for 2 days than my primary job paid all month. For 8 weeks, I secretly lived 2 completely different professional lives. Eventually, someone spotted my car parked near the building of Lauren and reported me for violating company policy. That brought me right back to that cold conference room where Harrison and Vance handed me my termination papers. What those executives failed to realize was that their entire network required specialized manual overrides every single week. Overrides that only I knew how to execute during peak processing times. By Friday afternoon, I signed a full-time contract with Lauren as her new chief security officer. My new position came with a massive pay raise, stock options, and a dedicated team of 8 brilliant specialists. When I walked into their bright office on Monday morning, Trevor, one of the senior analysts, welcomed me warmly and immediately asked for my input on their architectural designs. The supportive atmosphere felt completely surreal. While I was settling into my new position, the inevitable countdown was already ticking away at my old company. Monday afternoon brought the first batch of severe server delays as their automated routines attempted to run without my manual intervention. By Tuesday morning, error logs were overflowing across every screen in their network operations center, causing system performance to drop at an alarming rate. My personal phone began buzzing non-stop with frantic voicemail messages from Raymond and corporate HR. They went from claiming it was a minor configuration glitch to begging me to return as a high-paid consultant to fix the growing mess. I calmly responded with a short message stating that I was now focusing entirely on one position, just as they had demanded during my termination meeting. By Wednesday afternoon, exactly 72 hours after my departure, their central authentication database completely collapsed during peak quarterly reporting. Thousands of major clients lost access to their funds. Regulatory agencies launched immediate investigations, and news headlines broadcast the catastrophic service failure worldwide. The board of directors held an emergency session while company stock plummeted by nearly 40% in a single trading day. That evening, my phone rang again, displaying the name of Arthur Sterling, the chairman of the board of directors. His voice was trembling as he admitted that the company was facing total financial ruin and asked what it would take for me to help them. I reminded him that I had warned management about this exact single point of failure for 3 long years, but my warnings were repeatedly ignored. Arthur begged me to name any price, completely desperate to save the firm from total bankruptcy. I informed him that my consulting fee would be $50,000 per hour with a 4-hour minimum paid in advance. Furthermore, I demanded a public letter of apology, proper severance packages for all my former laid-off teammates, and the immediate creation of a fully funded security department with fair market salaries. Arthur did not hesitate for even a second before agreeing to every single condition I laid out. Within an hour, the wire transfer hit my bank account alongside signed legal documents confirming all terms. Working entirely from my remote home office, I provided detailed step-by-step procedures to their technical crew, guiding them through the complex manual overrides required to restore their frozen database servers. During the multi-hour recovery session, I made sure the remaining tech staff understood not just what buttons to push, but why those procedures mattered. I pointed out that the entire solution had been sitting in deprioritized documentation folders on their servers for over 18 months. By late evening, the network stabilized, but the public damage to their brand was already permanent and irreversible. Over the following months, our security consulting division at the firm of Lauren grew at an extraordinary pace, attracting major corporate clients across the nation. My former employers were forced to publicly admit their negligence, restructure their entire leadership team, and spend millions rebuilding what they had destroyed. Watching my new department thrive while they struggled to rebuild was the ultimate validation of my work. True revenge was never about watching my old company fail or celebrating their public downfall. It was about proving my worth so undeniably that they had to live every single day with the full knowledge of what they had discarded. Your personal value is never defined by those who refuse to see it, and finding an environment where your talents are genuinely respected makes all the difference in the world.